Okay, so this is the next version of what I wanted to show you. This is the next section of the creation of Adam that we're going to look at as a stereogram. What I'm showing you right here is I'm showing you the black and white version of it on the left-hand side and the color version on the right-hand side. This will make it really easy for you to see the stereogram if you cross your eyes. The place I suggest you use is her face. If you cross your eyes and allow one face to be on top of the other, what you'll notice is you'll get a total of 3 images, and you'll want to concentrate on the one in the middle. What you're going to notice is that the one in the middle will be kind of halfway colored. It won't be quite as colored as the one you see on the right, but it won't also be black and white. But you'll also very clearly see the stereogram effect that will be in the middle. Now we're going to do the same thing with the nebula here in a second. But I wanted to show you a couple of things that we're going to do first on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple of areas we're going to look for as shading goes. And that's going to be important because we're going to see the same shading in some of these areas that we're going to see in the nebula and their location and all the nearest neighbors. For example, the shading that you see right here, that same shading is going to be located when we go into the nebula. You're going to see it in the same area. So as we move back and forth, you see it in the same area as we see it there. And you'll also notice that it's going to come around like that, and then there's some shading right here, and that's going to be right next to her face. But we're also going to look at God's arm. God's arm passes around her, goes through her face and down into the corner, and you're going to notice that that's going to be the same also on the nebula image as well that we're going to take a look at. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to check the level of the eyes that are in both places. If you notice, they're both at the same horizontal level. We're also going to check the mouth in both areas and make sure they're at the same level. So you're going to have this shading we're going to look at. We're going to look at the arm. We're going to check the level of the eyes, the size of her face, the hair that sits on top, her face in relation to the shaded area that we see right here. And all that should look correct when we compare the two together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take off that black and white image. Let me give you just a second to kind of use that as a stereogram. And then we're going to take that off. Now we're looking at the nebula. This is the exact same XY coordinate that we've seen before. I have a video called Deep Grid Analysis where I go into all of this and divide it up into squares where I number them from A to Z horizontally and vertically, and you could see that I'm comparing the same grid coordinates and so forth. Okay, so these areas are the same. So now remember the shading I was showing you before. So if we take a look at that same shading, is right here, coming around like that. And that same shading is right here, coming around like that in the same areas. And if you notice, her face is just down and to the right of that in both areas. Then you have God's arm. This is what this thing is right here, coming around and going across her face. And you see the same thing, and it ends down here in the corner. And then we have the same thing happening right here, ending down in the corner. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to check her eye level. Get rid of this blue because you're going to do this as a stereogram in a second. Now we're going to check the eye levels. So here is her face right here. If you notice, it's right on top of the arm, just like we see right here, and it's in the same location. Now we're going to check the level of the eyes. And if you see the level of the eyes are also the same, we're also going to check the level of the mouth. And the level of the mouth is also the same. And then we could also, if we wanted to, check the width of her face. Move that box over here, and we can see that the width of her face is the same. We can take a look at the width of the shadow that we see right here. And we can compare that over here, and we can see that the width of the shadow is the same also that we captured. So we've captured many different things in this area that shows that all of these things line up. Now, this is in addition to what we had previously seen as the area of God's head, and this is just to the right of that. So now, take a few seconds and view this as a stereogram. I suggest you use her face again, align the faces on top of each other, and see what you can get out of it. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you soon.